Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 216 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of October 4th through the 10th, 2021. My name's Tim Beeman.
And I'm Michael Hastings.
And we're opening the recipe trunk. We are recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios at the Lab at Industry Hill. Any conversations using Zoom are sponsored by Bull's Tavern. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or Spotify or anything like that, we'd appreciate a like, a follow, and a rating. And if you would help us tremendously if you hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, welcome and thank you. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Carrabba's Italian Grill, located 587 South Stratford Road. And I don't think it's a chain. It's technically a chain, but it doesn't act like a chain. It's a responsible family of restaurants. Carrabba's and their owner partners take their communities they serve very seriously. It's in their charter even. And for us, having a fantastic proprietario like Daniel Butner certainly does not suck. Right now, it is Italian Wine Harvest. Their appetizer special right now is the 4 cheese and sausage stuffed mushrooms. But the entrees, the Johnny Trio with the filet, the chicken brine, and the mezzaluna ravioli, or the rigatoni campagnolo are both paired with the red blends, the house red blends. And the Pollo Rosa Maria is paired with a white blend. Find out more at Carrabba's.com. Still, almost everybody is hiring, so go get a job. It's there. It's available. So, Michael, you weren't here last week. How did your Eat, Drink, Burger week go?
Oh, boy. Well, there were 23 burgers that signed up to participate in Burger Week, and I managed to eat 21 of them.
Oh, my goodness.
I tried to get the other 2, and we just had some scheduling issues. But 21 burgers I think I squeezed it all into 5 days instead of 7.
Jeez.
So it was a lot of burger, but it was a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, I saw that your dinner one night was a big stalk of celery.
That's right. After eating burgers all day, I had 1 stalk of celery for dinner. That was it.
So we didn't know this thing. Like I said, I got to 5, and I talked about those last week, but we didn't get to this because it hadn't been announced as of last Monday. But the overall winner was the Shrimp and Grits Burger at Sophie's Cork and Ale in Lexington. It was also voted the best burger in Lexington and won the Foodie's Choice Award for the most creative burger. Voted the best burger in Winston-Salem was the Mojo Burger from Little Richard's. It came in second both overall and Foodie's Choice. Craft of the Art of the Taco took top honors in Greensboro for its Nacho Truck Burger. And Sweet Old Bill's Slob, or Big Messy, won High Points honors. What was that one like?
That one was a lot of fun. I had never been in Sweet Old Bill's before.
I'd never even heard of it until this.
Yeah, so it was a good patty with lots of bacon and piled high. That's a nice little place in there too. So it was like a ground chuck patty stuffed. So it was stuffed with fontina cheese inside the patty. Then it had sweet Swiss cheese on top, pork belly, tobacco onions, which are like kind of like deep fried onions, but real thinly sliced. Lettuce, tomato, and a garlic aioli. So a little bit full, a little bit big, not too sloppy to eat. You could actually get it in your 2 hands, and eat it. So messy, but actually, it's kind of messy. It's kind of the right kind of messy. You weren't always like losing pieces of the burger and constantly having to pick them up. So
that was my big complaint. I won't mention any of them that did it, but my big complaint was it was just hard to eat some of these, and it took some of the fun away.
Well, we were talking about this, and maybe it's the way the contest was set up, where it encouraged restaurants to do off the menu. In other words, a burger that they had not served before, that they weren't something special. And so I think the natural tendency towards a lot of the chefs was, let me just add stuff to my burger. And so you got a lot of piled high, over the top burgers.
There were several 6-inch high burgers.
Yeah, and higher.
And higher, yeah.
So we had ones with like brisket and mac and cheese. We had ones with pork belly and pimento cheese and bacon and fried eggs and onion rings and all kinds of crazy stuff. And some of it, came down to knife and fork.
Yeah, yeah. And I have no problem eating my burger with a fork and knife. I'm okay with that. I prefer. My problem with, and I'll say which one. This one. The problem with the one at
Richard.
No.
That was a big one.
No. I can't even remember.
Young
now.
Cardinal.
Yeah. I think I cut it in half. If I hadn't cut it in half, I probably would have been able to manage it a little bit easier. But I did.
Another thing I found out, we were talking about this earlier, is it's real popular to put fried eggs on inside burgers these days. But they are hard to eat because those darn eggs want to slide out.
Yes.
No matter what you do, those eggs want to slide out. So they tend to be a little bit on the messy side.
Yes, exactly. So what was your favorite overall? Your favorite?
The Sophie's Choice one that won, it deservedly won. It was really, really delicious. The only thing bad I can say about the winner is that it almost didn't need the burger.
Right.
Because what you had was two, and this was also really creative because it didn't have a bun. Instead of a bun, it had two crispy grits cakes.
Okay.
And the beef patty was in the middle of those. And then on top of those was a shrimp and tasso gravy, a kind of Cajun style thing. And the grits cakes were so crispy and so flavorful, real nice, made with real nice grits. And then the gravy was just so delicious.
What kind of gravy was it?
It was shrimp and tasso.
Okay.
So tasso, it's like cured pork.
Yeah.
Down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so delicious. But you didn't really need. I wouldn't have missed the burger if it wasn't there, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
But that was so delicious. But one of my other favorites was right around the corner from Sophie's in Lexington. Rustic Roots did a caprese burger. Part of what I liked about this burger was the simplicity. It was a real nice piece of beef, piece of ground meat. First of all, cooked just perfectly, and real juicy. And then caprese is like a Mediterranean Italian salad with mozzarella, tomatoes, and basil. So what they did is they used
balsamic usually.
Yeah, and I don't think they used any balsamic on this, but they used fresh mozzarella, used a slice of tomato, and then they used instead of fresh basil, they used basil pesto.
Okay.
So that was kind of the condiment. And it was simple, but it was so delicious, and you really got to taste the meat. We were talking about some of these crazy ones that got over the top and just added so many things. There was cheese, there was bacon, there was this, that, and the other. And after a while, it
kind of takes away from the spirit of the burger.
It takes away from the meat. So, it kind of depends on what kind of burger you have. But if you have a really good piece of beef, less is more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for the Mojo Burger at Little Richard's, when their motto is more is more.
More is more. That was probably one of the most over the top. Yeah. And it was some of these crazy burgers, they, especially ones that are hard to eat, and they're like two meals in one kind of thing. You might object to them if they were like on the menu. It's like, who wants to order this thing? But this was a 1 week. You got to remember, this was a 1 week special deal. So if somebody wanted to do something crazy, that I don't have a problem with that.
There was some just fun. It was the fair week before the fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Providence is having their Farm to Fourth event on Sunday, October 17th. You'll hear A little bit later from Chef Brian DePaulis, I went to Providence on Wednesday afternoon and did an interview with him, recorded it. So we will play that interview in just a little bit.
Yeah, and as you know, the Journal started this farm to fork thing back in 2016, and then handed it off to Jeff Bacon and his team at Providence.
Yeah.
But the whole original impetus was to get a bunch of chefs from around town collaborating and working with farmers and local foods. So it's not just the Providence team, but people like Adam Andrews from Jeffrey Adams.
Right. So I have the list here. So the hors d'oeuvres are from Claire Calvin from the Porch, Alma, and Canting.
Right.
Chefs Travis Myers, Adam Andrews, and Blair Cannon from Forsyth Country Club.
Right.
The amuse-bouche is from Chef Tim Graninetti.
Springhouse.
Salad from Chef Michael Spencer at Roosters.
Right.
Entree each from Chef Brian DePaulis from Providence and Chef Eric Brownlee from the Catherine, with sides from Chef Stephanie at Sweet Potatoes and Auras.
Yeah, the sweet potatoes are going to be good.
And dessert from Chef Daryl Pobance, who is the culinary training chef at Providence. So that's pretty cool. But they also will have bread service from John and Lucia Bobby from Bobby Boy. They also will have on hand for help chefs Ebony Warfield, Terrell Anestead, Antoine Hairston, Charles Hall, and Butch Ettinger. So they'll all be there to help create these things.
That's kind of fun when all these chefs get together, because a lot of them they work long hours in their own restaurants, and they don't see each other.
Right.
And
that's what Chef Brian over at Providence was talking about. He says, I'm kind of. He's not new to the area. He grew up here, but he moved away, and his adult culinary career has been other places.
Right.
And he says, some of these people that I've just brushed by or heard of, and I finally get to spend time with them for this and have some chef camaraderie.
Exactly. A little bit of networking, a little bit of camaraderie, a little bit maybe sharing ideas and getting inspiration from each other.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the chefs. It's good for the city.
Yeah. And it was supposed to, even this year, been a full-on farm to fork on the street thing, but
a couple months ago, a few months ago, when they started planning, they thought we were going to be able to do a sit-down dinner again, and then as of course these COVID numbers started going up, they decided to switch again to a drive-through event.
Yeah. So you will be able to pick up from 4:30 to 7 on Sunday the 17th at Canteen Market and Bistro, located at 411 West 4th Street.
You need to buy your tickets in advance.
That's right. You
tell
can
them how to get the tickets.
Farm 2, that's the number 2, 4th, FOURTH.org. So you have to buy your tickets in advance. So make sure you do that. We'll hear more about Brian and how he's excited about it when we get there. Michael, last week I talked briefly, because I don't really know details, about Adam Andrews taking over the Crafted spot on Liberty.
Yeah, I don't know. He's been close-lipped about what exactly he wants to do. My guess is he's still working through the concept himself. But he just couldn't. He couldn't resist the idea of taking that space, because it's a nice space.
It is.
And I don't know if you recall, but when Chris Fuller of Crafted took over that space, it was a busted out building that had been empty for a long time, and she did. She pretty much had to start from scratch of just a shell. And she fixed it up real nice. So,
and the building, the reconstructed building's only about 3 years old.
Yeah.
So it's still practically brand new.
Yeah,
and
the kitchen's in very good shape.
I hear, I don't know, rumor this, he's trying to come up with a taco concept, because it was already made up for tacos, right?
Interesting. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got a pretty good kitchen in there. I think you could do almost anything you wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really bright in that kitchen too, because you get there's a lot of outside windows.
Yeah,
a lot of times kitchens don't have access to the outside windows.
That's true.
And this one actually does, and it's because it's against the back wall.
That's true. Yeah.
Maddie Cakes Bakery in Advance will be closed on Mondays going forward, to give the team, as they say on Facebook before it crashed today, time to catch up and make new sweets for us to try. The new hours will be Tuesday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pulliam's Hot Dogs has been going through a lot of closures lately, and I'm not really sure why. They've had some stuff. I know a friend of mine has gone up there who had never had a Pulliam's Hot Dog, has gone up there 2 or 3 times, and they've been closed. And on their Facebook, they said, we're closed this week again. But they said for sure they are going to be open tomorrow, October the 5th.
Okay. Well, so many restaurants, I would tell people if you're going out to a restaurant these days, call first.
Yes,
because a lot of them are closing, so a lot of them have reduced their hours, since the pandemic, especially this year, because they don't have staff, and some of them are sort of closing on the fly, like at last minute. I know during Burger Week, and a matter of fact, I was trying to go to Springhouse on Wednesday. They were already closed for dinner Monday and Tuesday, and they were supposed to be open on Wednesday. And I called and got a message that they had to close on Wednesday and Thursday evening that week, kind of at the last minute, because they had a staffing issue. And turns out their chef had some issues and couldn't come to work, and Grandinetti, I believe, was out of town that week. So there's all kinds of all these restaurants are running on a slim margin as far as labor, as far as people. So if one person gets sick or has to take a personal day for some reason, or sometimes that may shut down the restaurant.
That's right. The slightest little thing could throw the wrench in the whole system.
Yeah. So call first, and be nice to your chefs and waiters and hostesses and hosts when you go.
Yeah. Show a little grace. Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant, is our one of our sponsors. While the weather right now is still nice, why not go sit under that covered patio and have a delicious Cubano sandwich? I love that sandwich. The ceviche or a pork belly, or just have a mojito. That's what they're called, that. And they have good ones, so go try one. Sounds good to me. Mojito Latin Soul Food does reservations and deliveries to surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch, and Wise Man. When they don't have a food truck already there, they don't like to infringe upon anybody else's business. And they also, if you didn't know, they are the owners. I know you know, Michael, but the listener might not know. They are also co-owners of the Tuning Fork Provisions. They are the owners of the truck, but the concept is between them and Fiddle and Fish.
Right, and they are parked right in front of Fiddle and Fish.
Right.
Which is just across the street from their restaurant.
Right, exactly. But they're still perfectly willing to bring you their food over across the street.
Yeah, that's nice too.
Yeah. So, talking about staffing issues, O'Brien's Deli is being forced to suspend their delivery service because they don't have enough people there. They're also cutting off online ordering. They are taking phone orders, and you can still dine in with them, but no delivery, no online order.
I'm just saying, you were talking about, jobs being out there. People take notes.
Yeah,
these are all places that need to hire people.
Exactly right. And I don't know the logistics of how all these things work, but it seems like phone orders would take up more time than online orders.
Oh yeah.
But they're saying they're still going to take phone orders, but suspending the online orders.
Don't ask me about that.
Yeah.
I don't understand that either.
A little side note, has nothing to do with this at all, other than about a month ago, I met Jimmy O'Brien, who started this. He actually is now a sales rep for West Shore Homes. And he was my rep for my new shower that I had put in last week.
Okay. Cool.
Because I told him what I did, and he's like, oh, yeah, well, I started O'Brien's Deli, however many, and then I sold it, 5 years ago? And
yeah.
So, yeah.
I vaguely remember that because I met him around the time it was sold, I guess.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, it was just odd that there he was, and I've never been to the one on Country Club, but I ate at the one while it was briefly on 4th Street downtown, probably 4 or 5, 6 times, and I liked it.
Yeah. Well, they do make a good Reuben, for sure.
Yes, they do. And my wife doesn't like me having all that corned beef, but whenever I do get it, I want to have it from there. Yeah, she's not happy about the corned beef with me most of the time. The Humble Bee Shop is back open at least 2 days a week, and that's Brittany's current hours are Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I knew that was the case because I was at Underdog Records on Saturday, and Jacob, who is one of Jonathan's best buds, is dating, I think, Jade, who works front of the store for Brittany, and said, they're back open. So I contacted her. I sent her a text, say, hey, what's your hours? And so we're going to set up a beer and macaron tasting.
Is that 4 degrees of separation there?
Yeah, it could be, yes. And I've said it before, but I'm teaming up with Explore Winston-Salem, an Instagram-based business. They have a new website, explorewinstonNC.com. Christy Bellis left her job to take on the events and happenings around town and bring them to you. And not just the food stuff, which she's sharing a lot of the stuff that I post for her food stuff, and I'm sharing a lot of stuff she's posting. So that's what a partnership does. All right, we're going to talk about burgers. We're on the burger tour outside of the Eat, Drink, Burger Week. Finally, I can get back to what I was doing. I had 5 official burgers this past week.
Nice.
I say 5. I had from 3 locations, but I have 5 burgers.
Okay.
Or I tried 5 burgers. First I tried, and everybody who's listened to this show for a long time knows that I had an issue at Earl's. Things had gone on there that I just did not like and couldn't do it. And I swore at one point that I would never go back and spend money unless somebody else is doing it.
But
I did go Thursday because I talked with Herbie. Is that Herbie Kimmel? Mm-hmm. I talked with him about a month ago, and he's talking about new chef and new concepts and stuff like that. So I decided, and someone else had, with my burger tour, it's about people's suggestions, right?
Okay.
I want listeners and readers to give me suggestions. That's why we're over 100 locations. So, and I've had just over half of that as far as the burgers go so far. But I had their Earl's burger, and they have burger sauce and like not quite Thousand Island dressing, like the special sauce of stuff, but it was
Big Mac sauce.
Yeah, Big Mac sauce. So, burger sauce, lettuce, tomato, onion, and pickle. I had that, and then on Saturday I had Greek Guy's Grill burger.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised. I'm going to say that. I won't say any details about the burger other than it was mayonnaise, pickles, tomato, and onion. That's what I like on mine.
Okay.
And but I was pleasantly surprised because I'm like, this is not really a burger type place.
Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised. Friday, I and Street Team Steven, who is Stephen McDowell, who you probably see posting a lot.
Yeah.
He and I are burger buddies, and we went to Yadkinville to Boondoggies.
Oh, yeah.
And we had 3. We had, and Boondoggies won overall spot on my 2019 list.
Yep. They got good burgers for sure.
Yes. So we had the Grandfather, which is their classic smash burger. It's a double smash burger. Mm-hmm. We had the Peacock, which has mayo, bacon, lettuce, tomato, and Drew's dad's pimento cheese, homemade pimento cheese that was just melting all over the thing. And then the Rock, which is mayo, homemade barbecue sauce. I think his dad makes that. Bacon, grilled onion, and American cheese. So all 3 were fun. I'll show you pictures here in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, and so I mentioned this last week, but Antojitos de Las Delicias told me that I should try their burger. I said, I didn't even know you had a burger.
I didn't know they had one either.
And Sarai said, we do. We'd be happy to make you one. So I went there, and they were out of beef.
They were out of beef.
Yeah,
oh god.
Because they had a big catering job like the day before, and it they were out of all the beef.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know about Antonio's. It's down on 5th Street.
Yeah.
Oh, East 5th Street. Tiny little takeout place.
Yeah.
And you just go up to the window and order. And they used to have a picnic table or two.
They used to, but I think once COVID started, they didn't want to have to clean that every time. I'm hoping if the numbers continue to go down, because this week we noticed that they have, that they will eventually get back to that.
But pretty good place for Mexican.
Oh, it is.
If you want tacos and real tacos and such like that, it's a good place to go. But a lot of people, when I mention that to them, they've never heard of Antojitos.
I know. Antojitos Las Delicias. We had Sarai on to talk with us about 8 months ago. I am such a fan of them. It's not far from here, so I can get to it pretty quickly. But I like exotic foods, and so they have lengua, which is tongue.
Yeah,
and they do theirs different than anybody else. Theirs is it's like smooth as silk. So they do it differently. It's not just big chunks of chewy tongue, right?
Right.
So I always get at least 2 lengua tacos when I go there. But their burritos are huge and they're delicious. They stand up. They're not, falling apart when you're trying to eat them. You can't pick it up because the sauce is on top. But I am just a huge fan of everything that they're doing over there.
Good salsas too.
Yes, absolutely. Now it's time for Getting in Your Business, and I'm here with Chef Brian DePaulis of Providence. What is it? Providence Catering, Providence.
We go by Providence Kitchen.
Okay, Providence Kitchen here.
It's so many things.
It is so many things. So you are relatively in this building. You're a new chef for here.
Yep.
And you have the farm. We're going to talk about the Farm to Fourth event coming up here later this month in October. And this is your first time doing this, correct?
That is correct.
So what's that like? Is it scary?
No, I wouldn't say scary. I think I'm more excited to be down there with all the chefs and the community. I mean, that's where I feel most at home, is with the chefs.
Yeah, I guess the part of it is that you're only having to deal with one dish, right?
Well, yeah, it was actually a whole dish, and then it went to someone else's. I think Sweet Potatoes is doing the sides and all that, so my sides got eliminated, and so now I'm just doing a 5-spice short rib with a duxelle shiitake mushroom and a miso demi over the top.
So 5 spices. Which 5 spices?
So I'm going to do a Chinese 5-spice.
Because there's Chinese and there's there's another one. Is there an Indian one?
I think there's an Indian one, and then there's a I can't remember what it's called, but it's like all the warm, clove and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We use the Chinese at my house. So.
Yes, it's delicious.
Yes,
especially this time. It says fall, big time.
Yes, it is. So who are some of the chefs? You don't have to single anybody out particularly, but who are some of the chefs you look forward to working with?
So definitely Travis Myers. I've heard a lot about him. He helped us out for an event before, but he was kind of like in passing. He was leaving and done, and I was coming into work, and so I really didn't get to connect with him. And I've heard a lot of buzz about him. And
Travis is one of my best friends. So
seems like a great guy. I follow him on Instagram. Looks like somebody I would appreciate.
Yeah.
And definitely heard a lot of good things about his food. And then Adam Andrews, of course, like all his restaurants. He does cool stuff. Really nice guy. Then Blair. I really don't know anything about him. I follow him over at Forsyth Country Club.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of great things about him, and his food is phenomenal. So those are just a few.
Yeah. Is Tim Graninetti?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Brownstone.
Yeah, he's another one, man. His name echoes through downtown.
Yeah.
So he's not a great chef or a restaurant owner, but he to me from afar looking, what I've seen is that he's a really good person in the community.
Yeah. Wasn't he not on Chopped? I think he was on Chopped.
I think he might have been. Yeah. He's done a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and he does the Doc Brownstone's Sweet Summer Love Festival every year. And
just happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, tell us about your background. Where did you come from?
So I tried school.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of my things. I went to Cape Fear Community College down there for hotel and restaurant management. I think my goal at 18 years old was to manage hotels and exotic places and, live that life and just kind of be transparent. Back in those days, it was a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, and that kind of fueled my ideas. And, and then I got in the business at Ruby Tuesdays and worked for them and started there as a buster and a salad boy and then kind of moved to prep. And then one guy didn't show up in the pantry and I moved over there and thrived. And, in my 3 years of being there, I became a chef manager and a corporate trainer at 19 years old and was going open in Ruby Tuesdays. And, that was just a great experience. I always tell people, if you want to be a great chef, be a teacher. Teach your craft, and it really strikes passion and the know-how. And then if you can explain what you do, it just makes you that better. And then you pass that on.
Right.
And then just kind of came up and started bouncing around. I quit school. I figured it all out at 19, and then just started bouncing around hotels and different places, and ran around Raleigh for the last almost 7.5, 8 years. Worked under some great chefs in some great places, and then just kind of ended up here.
So that's what my next question is going to be. What brought you to Winston-Salem, or
So I'm from here.
Yeah. Okay.
I grew up on the south side of Winston-Salem.
That's
I'm a native. I got engaged, and we've been friends since third grade, and fell in love. And she owns a business here, Luso Hair Studio, and she brought me here. She's got kids and a business, and it was, for her to move everything to Raleigh, it just made more sense to move here.
So where did you go to school? Parkland?
So I would have, but I ended up going to Bishop McGinnis High School.
Okay.
I went to Philo, and then I went to Griffith Elementary.
Okay. Yeah, that's my side. I live on the south side. My son went to Parkland.
Parents still live in the same house I grew up in, over there, down the road from Griffith Elementary. And, now we live out in Davidson County, and love it over there. So.
Awesome. So tell us more about your dish. You said it was the 5 spice. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that again.
So it's a short rib, which is braised meat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Slow cooked, and a lot of flavor, herbs, and spices and aromatics and all that. Who doesn't like braised meat?
Right. Yeah.
So it's a lot of
vegetarians and vegans.
Right. Yeah, we won't talk about that.
No, I don't understand that. It's an affliction.
Yeah. So, and then and especially just I feel like fall, winter, is just you're doing a lot of braised meats and things like that. Short ribs, I feel like is a really popular thing to not only get tender meat but flavorful meat. And I knew this was going to be recooked. So this is a perfect dish for that, and still be really nice and tender. So those are we'll seal them really hard after seasoning them and putting a lot of flavor in liquid, and then let them roast for about 4 hours, slow and nice and tender, until they're done, and then cool them down. We'll chop them up, and then a nice duxelle shiitake mushroom, a little nutty, nice, and then a really nice finished with a miso demi.
Okay.
Over the top.
So how much prep goes into that? How much would you do? Do you do it all here, or do you do some of it at the canteen? Or?
So I'm going to do it all here, and we'll have it ready to go. I'll have all the portioning of the shiitake mushrooms and the demi, and then you get 2 portions, and I'll have all that ready to go when we go down there. I'm taking my executive sous chef, and we're going to do that event. And it'll all be done here, but it'll probably take me 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Because you got to braise and do all the meat, cool it down, pull them out, cut all those up, and I need about 120 portions, and then make the topping as well. So
okay. Well, it sounds delicious.
Yeah.
And I do love braised meat myself.
Yes.
So just you and the sous chef. You're not taking any of the other boys with you?
No, we have an event that day, so
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's sometimes how the deal goes.
Yeah. So full disclosure, my son is one of your boys. So.
And he is my rock star for sure.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that. And my nephew too.
Yes.
But not my son and nephew. I am from West Virginia, but not like that. So
that's good to know as well.
Yeah. So when this came up, because this happens, it didn't happen last year because of the unmentionable event that was going on in 2020.
Of course.
When this was brought forth to you, was there any hesitation, or was it just, you know what, I'm going to nail this, I'm going to knock it out of the park? It's my thing.
I honestly, man, they said do this, and I do that, you know, and then my mind goes, because I think for me as a chef, being creative and you're putting art and flavors on a plate, man, and for me that's exciting. To do things like this, especially in the community, I feel like is another thing, especially, kind of my first part of my life, I kind of took from my community, and, I feel like now I get opportunity and a chance to give back. And that's, I think that's what's so awesome about Providence is, we reach out to the community versus, just being another business.
Right. The whole thing of Providence is to give back, and to not only give back, but to assist and to help and provide.
Yes.
That's one thing that I've always loved about everything that Second Harvest Food Bank does, everything that Providence does. Jeff Bacon, who is, a superstar in his own right. Just everything that has come from here, even before I was personally involved. My wife used to work for Second Harvest Food Bank, so she was in the marketing aspect.
That's awesome.
Under Jenny. And so just the whole idea of everything that they do, not just for the people less fortunate or less affluent, but for everybody, because this day and age, nothing is set in stone. Even those that have some hard times right now. Right.
And I keep hearing uncertain times, but I hate to let everybody know that it's always been uncertain.
It has, yes.
And I feel like you should live your best day today, and and that's, if you're putting your best foot forward, I don't think you can fail on any of that. So
exactly. Is what my wife's favorite quote is from Dolly Parton. It says, "Figure out what you are and do it on purpose."
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. So that's
Dolly.
Yeah. She's awesome, man.
Yes, she is.
So, what else? What's your favorite? I know this is like asking who your favorite kid is. What's your favorite thing to cook? If you were going to go out and cook you something right now, what would that be?
So I feel like I love really good stocks, because a good sauce comes from a good stock.
Right.
I love the process of all that, man. I love the long processes. I think that's why I gravitated towards the braised meat. I love braising meat. I love smoking meat. I love that whole, because it's long, and then the end result, you can taste it.
Right.
You know when something is done right. So I just think, to me, man, braising meat, making sauce, because I love making good sauce. I love making, because good braised meat with a good sauce, and all those take time and love and care, man. I think that's what I love the most, because I grew up in a family that my mom, she was not the greatest, she's not a chef, but she was a really good cook. Yeah. And a home cook, we got a good meal 6 days a week at least. And I think that's where I found, that love. It was, in my family, there was always food around the table, as we conversated and yelled or loved each other or whatever, you know, and it was just always there. And I feel like that's where my passion comes from this, because to me, food is, connected to love and passion and family and all that.
Well, the funny thing with this, and don't necessarily have to stick with all the other side, because this is my podcast. I talk about what I want to. See, it was quite the opposite for me. My mom cooked, and what she cooked generally was good, but nothing. I mean, my family have pulled back a little bit, but they were one of the, everything had to be well done. Like a steak was like shoe leather.
Let me get some ketchup.
So my process was Worcestershire on the steak, A1 to the side, and ketchup. So I would Worcestershire, A1, ketchup, and then eat it, because that's the only way it was possible.
Oh, yeah.
We always joked, and still joke, that my mom had burn and serve rolls instead of brown and serve rolls.
I like that.
Now, we had family meals, Thanksgiving. She's really good with the Thanksgiving stuff and the staples that she does, but she doesn't like to cook. And so my love of food is kind of an anomaly in that family, in my immediate family, because no one cared. They don't do anything adventurous. They don't, the most adventurous, they eat chicken liver. And I'm like,
I like chicken liver.
Yeah, and I don't.
With a brown sauce, man.
Well, if I had it done right, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If I had it done right, maybe, because I like foie gras and stuff like that. I like things like that.
I love that stuff.
But whenever I post pictures of my steak tartare or sushi and things like that, my parents are both like, "Ooh, how do you eat that?" And I'm like, "You eat chicken liver. You know that's the filter of the body, right?"
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I had intestine for the first time. Not chitlins. I had that before too, but I actually had pork intestines with the chili pepper sauce at New Szechuan. Ooh. And everybody says, "Well, was it disgusting?" I said, "No, it's probably the best thing I've ever eaten there."
Yeah,
it just
that stuff is delicious.
Yeah,
man.
so it's like
you call it sweetbreads, right?
No, the sweetbreads is the thymus gland.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But the intestine, it was just it tasted like pork calamari, but good calamari, not that really rubbery kind. But it was. Again, so tasty, and it was hot and spicy, so that probably killed some of the taste of any. But it didn't have any of that gamey taste that organs sometimes have.
Nice,
but yeah. So
well, you need to come to the game dinner if you like game.
I am. I already have my tickets.
I just did the menu.
All right, I want to see that before I leave.
Oh yeah.
See, I can't usually do Wednesdays because that's when I record the Less Desirables podcast. But for that one, I am going to rearrange dates or just do it myself and still be here.
Good.
My wife
we
and
would love to have you.
Yeah. I told
it's going to be a good one.
I told Trey, I said, I'm going to be there and I'm going to watch you. He says, I'll be in the back.
Nice.
So I said, I'm sure I can get a backstage pass, pal.
Oh, I'm sure. You're invited to the kitchen whenever you want, man.
Excellent.
For sure.
I appreciate that.
Especially when he's working.
Yes, yeah. I just want to go. And the funny thing about that is, since he's worked here, especially, he'll come home to our kitchen, and he'll go, no bueno, no good, don't do this. And he opens the refrigerator, and I know that the refrigerator here, it has to be for health code and all that stuff, the ready to eat on top and all that down. And I said, here's the thing, son. This is what can I put where?
Yeah, this is not the kitchen.
This is not in a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
And
my fiance, she probably thinks I'm a maniac sometimes. I'm going home and I'm restocking the refrigerator, reorganizing it, putting it where it needs to be and all that, or where I think it should be. And she's kind of like, I don't care about that stuff. Yeah. I just want the food to be in there.
Yeah, I want it to be a certain way, but at the same time, I'm like, this big-ass pizza box is in the way, so let's just put it in here. Then he opened the freezer, and he says, oh, that's giving me anxiety. And that literally is
good. The stuff I'm instilling in him is working.
Yeah, and he got onto me for cooking with olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil
because it burns.
Yeah, and he says that's when he said no bueno. Yeah. But I do have grapeseed. He says use that.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, and I like avocado oil too. So
nice.
So
good.
But anything else that you want anybody to know about the Farm to Fourth or you or Providence or anything that we have or have not talked about today?
I'll briefly just say about the game dinner. It's going to be on the I think it's the 20th.
Yes.
It's a Wednesday night. We do those pop-ups at the Manor House once a month. We try to. As the end of the year comes to a close, this will be the last one, and then we do Breakfast with Santa in December, and then we'll start back up doing pop-ups again in January. And all the proceeds for these things go to the cooking program that your son went through, and Calvin went through, and all that goes directly to that. And I think that's a great thing because, like I always tell them in the kitchen, it's bigger than cooking food. Like I was talking before about, I want them not just to be good cooks. I want them to be good men and women, and in the community, because that's what we do anyway. So, I would say that, and then, I think the Farm the Fourth is going to be a great event, not just for the community, but it's for a great cause, and then also the chefs don't really get out of the kitchen much. So it'd be nice to go down there and see some chefs out of the kitchen.
Right.
So I think that's an exciting thing too.
Yeah,
so.
you don't get to commiserate or have that brotherhood together a lot because you're all, especially these days when
everyone's short staffed.
Everyone is like help is hard to find, and it's just you don't, because you're having to work double. You're working the chef spot and sometimes even prepping and taking even serving sometimes. So
yeah, man, I go. My heart goes out to every single chef out there doing it across America, man, because it's like I've been doing this 26, 27 years, and I've never seen anything like this. And even like I'm so proud of my team. I just told them that in a lineup a little while ago that they have crawled over hurdles time and time again in the last 9 months I've been here, and I'm so proud of them because I can't do it without them.
Right.
I know that.
Yeah.
That speaks loud and clear to me.
Yeah.
So really proud of what not only we're doing, but people are doing it in the industry as well, because I know it's tough.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And I was at a pop-up this past weekend with Travis and and Ryan, his partner, and Chef Jeff had actually supplied the grilling implements.
Nice.
So they could do their hot dogs and their chicken sliders and the chowder fries. Those were really good too.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff. So Chef Brian DePaulis, I really appreciate you taking time to talk with us.
Of course.
And I look forward to the Farm to Fourth event because I will be stopping by to probably take some pictures and video, and then to pick up food to take home because Jeff wants me to give my honest review.
Awesome.
So
hopefully you get some of those short ribs.
Oh, I hope so too.
I guarantee.
And then I can't wait for the wild game dinner.
Awesome, man.
So I look forward to having more conversations with you.
I would love that.
As time goes on. I believe that there is an opportunity that we're going to start doing a regular podcast with Providence. So and Second Harvest Food Bank. So
sweet.
So I'm sure I'll be talking to you often.
That is true.
Thanks again, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Chef Brian DePaulis for taking time to talk with me, and I will say thank you for the meal at the snack bar at the clubhouse that day. And especially thank you to my son, who works at Providence, as you heard in that interview. He made the Cuban that I had that day. So it was fun to see him in action, and it was even his lunch time, and he went down to the grill and made that for me. So thank you to my son. Food Holidays are sponsored by Diamondback Grill. It is casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It's a fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. Diamondback has a new dinner menu, and I got to try the, how do you say this, Castelvetrano olives?
I think that's pretty close.
We'll go with that. When in doubt, just say yes. Castelvetrano olives, they had a little bit of spice to them, a little bit of kick, and my wife, who does not like olives, ate as much as I did of those.
Right.
So they were really, really good. She likes fancy olives. She doesn't like the little green ones with the pimento stuff down in top of. So be warned, the Castle Vetrano olives are pitted. Not pitted. They still have pits in them. So be wary of that. Don't bite down on them expecting to keep your teeth. So the maple and harissa roasted carrots are fantastic. I had those two. And the tuna poke that they make, which is different than most of the poke places around here. This is tuna with avocado and the sauce on top of it was just it comes out like
is it all over rice?
It is over.
Is there rice on the bottom?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And it comes in like a form cake.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it's all wet stuff, but it's not. It comes. I have a picture of that. I'll show you in a minute too.
Cool.
So yeah, that was great. They have a whole new thing with some new menu items. So check it out. I did try. They had Fridays for them, I believe, is surf and turf night. So seafood stuff. I had the barramundi.
Oh,
it was very, very good. It was firm but tender and had great flavor. And it came with a bok choy and a seasoned rice. It was a great meal. So Diamondback is at 751 Avalon Road. Find them on the web at diamondbackgrill.com and on Facebook and Instagram. Other than right now, I don't know if Facebook's back up yet. And you can find them on the web, diamondbackgrill.com. To make reservations, call 336-722-0006. And, of course, tell them that I sent you. Food holidays. The 4th is today. It's National Taco Day. Speaking of Antojitos Las Delicias, if you get a chance to go down there before 5 o'clock, because I think that's what time they close. And if not, you have Luciano's. You have... where's some of your favorite taco places?
well, I had some good tacos last week at a new place out in Yadkinville, of all places.
Okay.
There's a kind of funny little spot restaurant on Ray T. Moore Road, which is, if you know Yadkinville, it connects to Old Stage Road and Courtney Huntsville Road.
Okay.
And but it's out in the country for sure. And there was a German restaurant in this building for years and years and years, run by a German woman. And then most recently it was Yadkin Valley Steakhouse for a couple years. But some new folks took over, and it's called Rancherito.
Okay.
It's a Mexican restaurant. So I had some, and it's run by two Mexican chefs, Mexican native chefs. One of which was a long-time cook at 2520 Tavern in Clemens. And the other was just a kind of talented home cook and friends with this other chef. And so they've taken it over, and they're doing things like sopas, tacos, enchiladas. On weekends they have menudo and caldo de res, which is a beef stew, and lots of good stuff. But they have, you were talking about lengua. I love lengua tacos, and also the tripe tacos. I really like too.
Yes.
So they have all those kind of traditional Mexican tacos: the lengua, the tripe, al pastor, barbacoa. Lots of good stuff.
I know the tripe over at El Rancho on Sprague Street. I love the tripe over there.
They do a
It's
good job.
So good. Yeah. The 4th today is also, while you're having tacos, I know it's not, most people would associate tequila with Mexican food, but it's also vodka day.
Ooh.
So
have a little vodka with your tacos.
that's right. You make it a Russian taco day. The 5th is National Apple Betty Day, or Brown Betty, as many people know them. A dessert made with fruit and sweetened crumbs. In 2007, on the 5th, 1 week after recalling almost 22 million pounds of ground beef products, Tops Meat Company announced it was going out of business. It had to recall the meat after samples tested positive for E. coli bacteria, and at least 30 people had become ill since July of that year. Tops was one of the country's largest manufacturers of frozen hamburgers. So that killed them. In 2011, Friendly Ice Cream restaurant chain filed for bankruptcy. On the 6th, it's National Noodle Day, and it does not specify what kind of noodles, so I would say probably ramen or spaghetti
and meatballs,
that's right. Yes.
Macaroni and cheese. The possibilities are endless.
That's right. Noodles. It also is National Kale Day, which I don't care anything about. It's
they have a day for that.
yeah. Why do we need a day for that? It's also National Pumpkin Seed Day. What do they call those pumpkin seeds? It's
a pepito.
A pepito, yeah. I know there's some fancy name for it. It's also National Orange Wine Day, and it's not made from oranges, but it's wine made with white grapes fermented with the grape skin, similar how red wine grapes are treated, but a little.
It's like halfway on the way to red.
Yeah, so it's not even quite rosé.
No, because partly the way because it's made.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's see. In 1790, on the 6th, Jacob Schwepp demonstrated his process for making artificial mineral water, and he went on, of course, for Schweppes. In 1893, cream of wheat, which is a porridge product using farina, was developed by wheat millers of Diamond Milling Company in Grand Forks, North Dakota. It's named cream of wheat because it was so white. Growing up in West Virginia, we did have oatmeal, but we didn't even know what a grit was.
Right.
We had cream of wheat and add some butter in there and some little bit of sugar and toast. And cut the toast up and put it in there. I loved it.
A breakfast staple for lots. The Southerners don't understand that, but for a lot of people outside the South, that was a big breakfast staple.
Yeah, yes, and I liked it. Now, as an adult, I tried making it myself. My mom always made it when I was a kid. I tried to make it, and it was awful. So it's something about mom magic, I guess, that back then. In 1945, William Billy Goat Cianis, owner of the Billy Goat Tavern in Chicago, took his pet goat Murphy to Game 4 of the World Series, which was the Chicago Cubs versus Detroit Tigers. He was denied entry to Wrigley Field because the goat stinks, they told him. So he supposedly placed a curse on the Cubs that they would never win another World Series, and it would be 71 years before they won again in 2016. Billy Goat Tavern, of course, is where the famous cheeseburger skit from Saturday Night Live came from.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have eaten at, not the original one, but the side, the extension Billy Goat Tavern in Chicago. And the cheeseburger was really, really good. And they did do that. Cheeseburger. Only Pepsi, or no Coke, only Pepsi, or whatever the thing is. Which, oddly enough, I think it was actually the opposite for them than it was on Saturday Night Live.
That's right.
In 2008, speaking of Wrigley, Mars, makers of M&Ms and Mars bars and other things, completed its acquisition of the chewing gum company Wrigley for $23 billion. That's a lot for chewing gum.
That's a lot of gum.
It is. On the 7th, it's National Frappe Day. Yeah.
I had a good one at the fair, by the way.
Oh yeah, we'll talk before we get out of here. We're going to talk about your fair time because it's been many years since I've been to the fair or even wanted to be. But we'll talk about that. It's also on the 7th, Chocolate Covered Pretzel Day. I dig it.
All right.
On the 8th, it is World Egg Day, which is always the second Friday in October. And
love me some eggs.
You know, I used to not, and it's to the point now where I'm like, yeah, can I have an egg? Can I have an extra egg with that? And people, you know, I'm a musician, as you are, right. And people always talk, you know, how do you not like blues music? You like rock, and rock's just blues heavier. And I say, you know what? I'm not a big fan of eggs, but I like cake. So yeah. I know there's eggs in cake. Right. So it's... Right. I like the final product, not necessarily its ingredients.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So, the 8th is also National Fluffernutter Day. It's a New England classic, but I had it when I was living in West Virginia. It's peanut butter and marshmallow fluff on white bread. My only complaint is it's hard to get the fluff on the white bread. So you're sitting there pulling it, and the bread's just like curling up or tearing.
Yes.
They need to make it a little more spreadable. I like it, but it's just too much work for me. The 8th is also National Salmon Day and National Pierogi Day. Where can you get a good pierogi around here?
Nobody makes them. It's kind of a northern.
It's a Pittsburgh thing.
It's a Pittsburgh thing. It's a Polish thing. So you need to go to a city that has a good Polish immigrant population.
Go see your favorite Yinzer
No.
in Pittsburgh, and they'll take you to a good pierogi place. I have a cousin and a good friend that lives up there, so maybe I need to go see them. In 1901, the American Sugar Refining Company registered the Domino trademark for sugar on the 8th of October. In 1919, Congress passed the ridiculous Volstead Act, which enforced the ban on the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages. Prohibition began, and we all were embarrassed. The boo.
Big sigh.
Yeah. In 1945, P.L. Spencer applied for a patent for a microwave oven, and the patent was granted in 1950, almost 5 years later. In 2004, lifestyle guru Martha Stewart reported to prison to begin serving a sentence for lying about a well-timed stock trade. On the 9th of October, it's Moldy Cheese Day. It's moldy cheese, of course, being blue cheese, mostly. I love blue cheese. Roquefort is my favorite. I
like a good blue cheese, I have to say.
I can eat that by itself, and most people are like, oh, how do you do that? I said, like this, and I just do. It's also Submarine Grinder Hoagie Hero Day.
I can get behind that.
Yes, and there are plenty of places around town to get those. It's Beer and Pizza Day. There's plenty of places around town to get that too.
Day.
All on the same day. That's a lot of stuff to go eat. This day tells Burger Week, here, hold my beer. and pizza.
Yeah, right.
On the 9th in 1962, Union Carbide registered the Glad trademark for their plastic bags. In 1966, the world's largest grilled cheese sandwich was made and was 3,000 pounds. And again, I ask, how the hell do they make a 3,000-pound grilled cheese? You can't grill it all in one thing.
Most of these people, I used to wonder that kind of thing too, but a lot of them, they set out like months and months ahead of time, like to try to set the Guinness World Book of Records or whatever. Yeah. And they will build a special grill, a special mold, a special this, that, and the other to make, a slice of bread that's 5 feet across or whatever it might be. So it takes a lot of planning and a lot of work and I would imagine a lot of expense to try to do these kind of crazy stunts. But hey, they're having fun.
Yeah, I really need to Google some of these things that I report on and to see how it's actually done. I'm sure there's YouTube videos or something, pictures, something about them. I really need to do that. In 2007, on the 9th, SAB Miller and Molson Coors announced an agreement to combine their U.S. operations to create Miller Coors. U.S. antitrust regulators approved the joint venture in 2008, and Miller Coors began operation as a combined entity on July 1st of 2008. On the 9th in 2012, the last filling of the iconic 6.5-ounce returnable glass Coca-Cola bottles was capped in Winona, Minnesota. You can still get small Cokes, but it's not the returnable glass bottles. On the 10th, it's World Porridge Day, which I think technically cream of wheat counts.
Cream of wheat definitely counts.
Counts as that. National Angel Food Cake Day. National Cake Decorating Day. So you can get your angel food cake and decorate it. And you've 2 stones with 1 bird. On the 10th in 1796, it's the traditional date for the creation of the metric system because it's 10-10.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
And metrics is based on tens.
Gotcha.
In 1933, on the 10th, Procter & Gamble began marketing Dreft, the first detergent with synthetic surfactants for home use. surfactants. Surfactants.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Again, when in doubt, just say yeah.
It sounds right to me.
Yeah, that's right. If I can just pronounce something that sounds plausible, then we'll go with it. Detergents perform better in hard water than soap, than soaps do. So that's why they created that. And I do want to back up to the 6th of October, which is Wednesday. Mm-hmm. That will be my nephew, who also works at Providence. It will be his 20th birthday. Right. And it would have been, I want to say, my grandfather's 96th birthday.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's your food, holidays, and history for this week. Special thanks to James Ehler at Food Reference for making us chuckle, roll our eyes, wondering how the hell people make these big-ass sandwiches, and contemplate having moldy cheese on a submarine, grinder, hoagie, or a hero while we eat pizza and drink beer. That's what we do. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Beeswax Vinyl Daily, Wheeler's Dog, and Asylum Tales from the Devereaux Diaries podcast. You can find all of these podcasts and our latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. And you'll find social media links to each one there as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and get the latest episodes as they are released. So, Michael, tell us about your fair experience.
So, Beer Dad, if you want to talk about the fair, I think the big news is the fact that they're serving beer. Yeah,
because that's not been able to happen before.
Never. So the closest they came is they would do those. They had the wine tastings over in Yesterday Village where they had little samples of wine from North Carolina wineries.
Yeah.
But they were just giving away little samples. They weren't selling anything or anything to drink on. So for the years and years and decades, the fair was an alcohol-free event. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of setting a new precedent. Now here's the thing. It's the first fair in 2 years. It's the first fair since they changed the name from Dixie Classic to Carolina Classic, which was kind of controversial, the whole name change deal.
Yeah.
And it's the first one that, taking place during a pandemic, right?
Right, yeah.
And so is it a coincidence that they added beer this year? I don't know.
I just think it's time.
It does seem like time. So here's what they're doing is they have a beer garden, which is literally a grassy, fenced-in spot kind of near the main gate, kind of between the main gate, gate 1, and where the animal buildings are, where they have the goats and lambs and stuff. It's kind of there, and it's off to the side. It's fenced in, and it's grassy area, but also part of it is covered, so you can get some shade because on a warm day it can be hot at the fair.
Yeah.
And they have picnic tables so you can sit down. And what they decided to do is have it run by one North Carolina craft brewery. So the folks who got it are Appalachian Mountain Brewery from Boone. Mm-hmm. They make some pretty good craft beer.
They make great stuff. Yeah.
And they also have so they've got like a half a dozen. There's a lager, a blonde, 3 IPAs, and there's also a hard cider, which is, for those who care, it's a semi-sweet, not super sweet, but not dry either. So 1 apple cider, $7 a draft. And it's open every day, that the fair is. I think by law they're allowed to stop serving, by law they're required to stop serving alcohol 30 minutes before the fair closes. But other than that, they're open when the fair's open.
Okay.
Every day. And then also when the grandstand is open, which is when there's a concert or a race or an event in the grandstand. You can also get Foothills beer, brewed right here in Winston-Salem. Fiddlin' Fish beer, brewed right here in Winston-Salem. And I think they have a couple R.H. Behringer products like Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, a couple things, options like that. So when the grandstand is open, you can buy beer in the grandstand also. But other than that, anytime you can get Appalachian Mountain Brewery. So if you've never tried Appalachian Mountain Brewery, this is good. This is a good opportunity to do it. Folks from the brewery right there, you can talk to them about it. And
a lot of people don't know that Appalachian Mountain Brewing, when you're talking about their cider, they actually have a cidery that does ciders, not just that one, but they have a whole slew of them because it's AMB and AMC. So they actually have a cider production facility.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out, because if you go to any craft breweries, you'll notice they usually have like a cider on tap somewhere. But a lot of people just have that. It's someone else's cider.
Yeah, usually it's Bull City.
Bull City is the popular one. Yeah, made in Lexington. Yeah, that's a popular choice to see around in bars around here. Yeah. But Appalachian does actually make their own.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. But of course, I did eat my fair share at the fair. We were talking about frappes. There's a little place called Stone Cold's Espresso. They're next to Peachy's Donuts over sort of near the annex. And it's a young guy from Louisville who started doing this out of his dorm room when he was in college to make a little money on the side, help with his college. And he's been doing it ever since. His name is Austin Hurst. And so he's got a nice little espresso place. You can get espresso, you can get hot coffee, you can get smoothies. But I had a really good pumpkin spice frappe. So coffee, pumpkin spice, cold with lots of ice, really refreshing. And I am not a big pumpkin spice person, but it was pretty tasty. I thought the pumpkin and coffee made a good combination. So if you're looking for something hot or cold during the fair, Stone Cold's Espresso's pretty good. For food, there's a new taco truck called Emma's Kitchen. They're also Winston-Salem, a Mexican-American woman, Emma Salazar, has started that with her family. So she's got sopas, she's got tacos, she's got quesadillas, and I think she's doing some specials on the weekends also. So I had some good food there. There's Pam Cager, who runs Three Layers Cakery downtown on Liberty, always has a booth in the brick buildings in the center of the fair selling cakes, mostly layer cakes. But she's getting into some hot dogs. She's doing some gourmet hot dogs this year. So that's something a little bit different. A lot of returning favorites, like you can still, the folks also in the brick building, the name of the church escapes me, but they're still doing it. You can still get the collard green and hog jowl sandwich on cornbread. Nice. Greater Faith served me a good bowl of pinto beans. A good bowl of pinto beans are one of my favorite things to have, especially at night in the fair when it's a little bit cool.
Yeah.
Good corned beans. I always get them with onions and hot sauce. Munchie Wagon does a great pork chop sandwich. They're back this year. They also do toasted pound cake. They have good homemade desserts over there. There's some local folks too. So anyway, lots of good stuff as usual, and some new folks, which it's always nice to see new folks at the fair.
So you mentioned the pinto beans, and my history with foods like onions and things like that. Pinto beans is something else I would not touch for the longest time. My mother, when she was growing up, it was her favorite, and it still is her favorite food, but she can't have them now. She's had the gastric bypass and all that. But when she was a child growing up, if they weren't having beans, she would cry. So she thought it was fitting that if she loved beans so much, then of course her child should. And I never acquired that taste until just recently. And I've always liked refried beans, which is basically mashed pintos, that's been recooked. But I'll tell you what the catalyst was Young Cardinal's huevos rancheros. And the pintos that they use on that, I've gotten to where now, you put extra pintos on that. And now I will get pintos almost anywhere. But like you, I prefer it, oddly enough, with onions and some Texas Pete. I love to pour Texas Pete in it.
Beans are so starchy. They just really go well with condiments or anything that's got a little tang or bite to it. So something like onions or something with chilies or chow pintos and chow is so good.
Yeah.
Now, so my question to you is: you're eating pintos. Where are you on other beans? Or can you only handle pintos, not black beans, not kidney beans, or do you eat the whole range?
I've never had a problem with other beans other than pintos.
Oh my gosh!
So I have completed. I'm not a huge fan of lima beans, but I have basically completed the crash course in beans. So now my wife, on the other hand, has just now started eating anything bean related. It's texture for her.
Yeah.
And she absolutely refuses to eat lima beans, but she eats the guiantes at Llamas, which are just giant ass lima beans.
Right. Yeah. Now for in her defense, I do put kind of lima beans and guiantes and fava beans in a slightly different category than the dried beans.
Yeah.
Black. But I have met people who say, well, I like black beans fine, but those are the only beans I eat. I don't like pinto beans. I don't like kidney beans. I don't like chickpeas, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I've never had a problem with like kidney beans because I would always put those in chili, and white beans, navy beans. Just those were what ended up in my baked beans, and I've never had a problem with most beans. I think really it was a psychological thing with the pintos because I was forced to eat them. You can't move until you can't get down until you've had them all.
Deep psychological trauma.
Yeah, the scars go deep. Yeah. But now I even will send my mother pictures when I'm like, look what I'm doing. She's like, that looks great. Where are you? And I'll tell her where I'm at. And if I go to BLL Rotisserie Factory, they have beans as a side, which wouldn't seem like it would go with Italian fare.
Right.
But they do. They have pinto beans that I always have them put fresh onions on top and bring me a ramekin of hot sauce. And sometimes it's a, I'm not huge on salads, but I'll have their rotisserie chicken salad with, instead of regular dressing, I'll have the Caesar dressing.
Yeah.
Which is made by Duke's mayonnaise for them. And I don't like Duke's usually, but it's really my favorite dressing in town. And then I'll eat the beans on the side.
Beans are actually really good in salad. There's a lot of good bean salads out there too, where beans with meat, beans with cheese, beans with other vegetables. Yeah. And I was talking about condiments. So salad dressing on beans is kind of a natural,
Really?
Yeah.
Like what kind of salad dressing?
Like almost any, but I'm particularly oil and vinegar based dressings. So maybe if you have like a little Italian. No, I'm thinking when the beans are also like kind of room for a salad, they'd be room temperature cold. But if in a pinch you could put a little bit on some hot beans to dress them up a little bit for sure.
Right on. Awesome.
What else can we say about? We could probably talk about beans for quite a while.
We could, yes. So other than your own beans, where's your favorite place to eat them? Because I know you make some, probably, right?
Well, I always look. Yes, absolutely. But I always look forward to having them at the fair. Now, I'm trying to think. I do often get them when I go for barbecue.
So baked beans.
Yeah, so baked beans. I love some good baked.
I have always, as I grew up, they were pork and beans. But
Right.
I always love baked beans. I love when there's crap ton of bacon and pork fat in them, fat back or pork belly. It's just all that stuff. I was all about it.
When I was a kid, my mom was a good cook, but we did have Campbell's baked beans in the house, and I ate a lot of those. But as a young grown up, kind of before I started cooking professionally, and I was just fooling around the kitchen, I would buy Campbell's, but I found out if you put like a little bit of if you add a little bit of onion to them, a little dash of Worcestershire, a dash of hot sauce, you can really dress up some canned beans and make them taste like your own.
Well, and I watch Sam the Cooking Guy on YouTube a lot, and he was doing a traditional English breakfast, and one of the things
Which
he got
is baked beans.
yeah. So he got the Heinz baked beans, the ones that are in the, like for us, Publix would have in the international section,
right.
that just says Heinz beans,
right. Which is what you buy in England, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and they're more tomato based, and they're more red than the brown sugar and all that stuff. There's something very special about those beans, and I had a traditional breakfast when I was in London on my honeymoon, and it was fantastic. I'm pretty sure they pulled it out of a can that was just it had Heinz on it, but I call it the Who beans, because on the Who sells out, they're in the big can, and he's in a tub of those.
They're making it's like parodying it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really funny. But beans and eggs go really, really well together. So the classic English breakfast is beans, fried eggs, rashers,
blood sausage.
Yeah, which is sausage, and usually a little bit of tomato.
Yeah, grilled.
Grilled tomato, and sometimes some sautéed mushrooms, but sometimes not. But that's just a great combination, like a fried egg, where you break open the yolk and it kind of runs into the beans a little bit. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, they call that a fry up in England. Yeah. We call it a traditional British breakfast, and they're calling it a fry up. So. Well, this is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for about 20 seconds or more. Sing along to this if you don't know how long 20 seconds are.
She'll only come out at night. Lean and hungry time. Nothing is new. I've seen it here before. Watching, waiting. Wish she's sitting with you, but her eyes are on the door.
I sing this for the Vagabond Saint Society's Hall & Oates show.
Oh, really?
This and One-on-One and third, I don't remember what it was. But, so today is the 39th anniversary of H2O, the album that this and One-on-One and Family Man were on. Yeah. So that is their best-selling, their biggest hit ever.
And they had a lot of big hits.
Yes, they did. I liked them a lot. I didn't realize how much I liked them until I went back and started listening to back catalog stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's really, really good. Anything you have going on that you want to talk about?
I think we've exhausted enough for now.
Okay, all right. Keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send us an email at tim@themanwhoatetown.com, or you have an email over at the paper?
mhastings@wsjournal.com.
There you go. And you can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Man8 the Town. On Instagram, we are Man8 the Town. We invite you to call and leave a voicemail for the podcast, actually any podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUM. Leave a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUM. Michael, glad to have you back again.
Thank you, Tim.
My name is Tim, and he is.
Michael Hastings.
And we are closing the recipe trunk. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.